End the programme with some sports now, because Rafael Nadal, the 22-time Grand Slam champion, is to retire from professional tennis at the end of this season. The 38-year-old will represent Spain in his final appearance. That will be next month at the Davis Cup final. Well, our sports reporter, James Vasina, who I gather is rather sad about this news, with me now. James, tell us why you're sad and tell us, is this a big surprise today?
Why am I sad? Because Rafael Nadal has been one of the biggest tennis players in everybody's lifetime. In my lifetime, certainly, he's one of the players who I grew up watching. Is it a surprise? And I think there's two sides to this. On one side, no, it isn't. Nadal has been struggling for the past years with injuries to his ankle, to his wrist, and to various parts on his legs. And in that sense, it's really decreased his form over the last years. He's barely been able to play in the last in recent times. He did have that win in 2022, that freak win in 2022 here in Paris, which he said afterwards he wouldn't have been able to go through with or win if it wasn't for all the painkillers that he had to have for his feet. So in that side, no, it's not surprising. But it is because after that, Nadal was always just putting aside any mention of any retirement. He was many times asked, is this the end? I mean, he's 38 years old, and we could see what was happening. But every time he was pushing it back, saying, no, I'm going to try and come back and playing less. I'm going to try and concentrate on some of those, some of the Grand Slams, of course, that he wanted to privilege. Well, when you saw that he was starting to drop out of some of them, Wimbledon notably, but reserve him to keep himself for Roland Garros. But still, after that, it just became too much for him. So not a surprise in that sense. 38 years old is more than plenty in a tennisman, in an athlete's career. But yes, I mean, he leaves a big space open there after him. What a legacy.
Well, indeed, he was, as you say, a kind of an icon, a monumental figure in tennis. How do you think he'll be remembered?
Well, his 22 Grand Slams are, for one, part of the greatest of all time. But in those are 14 wins at Roland Garros. Now, we mentioned just earlier on the French Open. That was where he performed the best. He dominated it. He won his first title there. It was in 2005, 19 years old. And after that, every edition, just on 4 times he failed, but winning 14 titles over there in Roland Garros was absolutely massive. It's so big that there's a statue of him over there in just across the not too far across from here actually. And just to give you an idea of that, out of 116 matches that he played in his career over there, he lost 4 of them.
Wow.
That's how big he's been at Roland Garros. So he certainly remembered that. He's nicknamed the King of Clay. And just the way that he plays, the speed that he came and brought into tennis in a time, very opposite to the other parts of the big three, or especially against Roger Federer, who he was very quickly one of the big opponents to come up against. A very different style of play. And that style of play has, in fact, influenced the way that many players do so today, including Carlos Alcaraz, of course, the young Spaniard, who is another hope for Spain. There's still a lot for him to prove and manage to. I mean, he's on a great path, having won Grand Slam so far, but to beat that record of 14 at Roland Garros, it's a huge record that sets a stand for a long time.